Today's lesson will be going over a fluency strategy and using the book Night by Elie Wiesel. The book Night is a 10th grade reading level and is a nonfiction text by Elie Wiesel. We will be using the book in the content area of social studies. The strategy we will be using throughout this lesson for fluency is choral reading. Choral reading is when a teacher and a student read a short passage or excerpt from a text in unison. There are many benefits to choral reading. Some of the benefits include it helps with students decoding, it helps students develop read aloud skills, it helps improve their sight vocabulary, it also helps them learn new words and how to pronounce them because they're listening to someone else read them out loud. And it also helps students understand the pace at which a text should be read. On the next slide, there's a video of me reading the following excerpt from Night out loud. When we click on the next slide, I would like you to start reading aloud with me from page 26. Okay, class, today we are going to be using the fluency strategy choral reading, which basically means you are going to be reading along with me in unison as I read through page 26 in the book Night by Elie Wiesel. Go ahead and get out your books and turn to page 26. We are going to be starting at the top of the page, and then we're going to go all the way down to the end of the page, and we're going to end it right before the last sentence where it says, "Behind me, an old man fell to the ground." Okay, so here we begin. Everybody, get out! Everyone, out of the wagon, quickly! We jumped out. I threw a last glance toward Madame Schouder. Her little boy was holding her hand. In front of us, flames. In the air, that smell of burning flesh. It must have been about midnight. We had arrived at Buchenau, reception center for Auschwitz. The cherished objects we had brought with us thus far were left behind in the train, and with them, at last, our illusions. Every 2 yards or so, an SS Man 1 held his Tommy gun trained on us. Hand in hand, we followed the crowd. An SS non-commissioned officer came to meet us, a truncheon in his hand. He gave the order, "Men to the left, women to the right." 8 words spoken quietly, indifferently, without emotion. 8 short, simple words. Yet that was the moment when I parted from my mother. I had not had time to think, but already I felt the pressure of my father's hand. We were alone. For a part of a second, I glimpsed my mother and my sisters moving away to the right. Tispora held mother's hand. I saw them disappear into the distance. My mother was stroking my sister's fair hair as though to protect her, while I walked on with my father and the other men. And I did not know that in that place, at that moment, I was parting from my mother and Tispora forever. I went on walking. My father held onto my hand. Great, you did it. How was it? Now, you see how you choral read along with me throughout the text? How did it make you feel? Did you see how you were able to keep pace? Maybe you were even able to decode words you weren't able to decode before? Choral reading is very beneficial, and I think that we should continue with this. So on the next slide, we are going to be doing another example. The following excerpt is from Night as well and is found on page 32. Once again, we are going to attempt to choral read as a class. Go ahead and click on the next slide and choral read with me as I read the excerpt. All right, class, go ahead and get out your book Night by Elie Wiesel once again. This time we're going to be reading an excerpt from page 32. Go ahead and read along with me as I read. Okay, we're going to start at, "We continued our march," and we're going to end at the end of the page where it says, "If I am condemned to live as long as God himself, never." Okay, so we can begin. We continued our march. We were gradually drawing closer to the ditch, from which an infernal heat was rising. Still 20 steps to go. If I wanted to bring about my own death, this was the moment. Our line had now only 15 paces to cover. I bit my lips so that my father would not hear my teeth chattering. 10 steps till. 8, 7. We marched slowly on. as though following a hearse at our own funeral. 4 steps more. 3 steps. There it was now, right in front of us, the pit and its flames. 2. I gathered all that was left of my strength, so that I could break from the ranks and throw myself upon the barbed wire. In the depths of my heart, I bade farewell to my Father, to the whole universe, and, in spite of myself, the words formed themselves and issued in a whisper from my lips. Yidagado Vivetika Shma Rabba. May his name be blessed and magnified. My heart was bursting. The moment had come. I was face to face with the angel of death. No. 2 steps from the pit, we were ordered to turn to the left and made to go into a barracks. I pressed my father's hand. He said, "Do you remember Madame Schuster in the train?" Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, which had turned my life into one long night, 7 times cursed and 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget the smoke. Never shall I forget the little faces of the children, whose bodies I saw turned into wreaths of smoke beneath a silent blue sky. Never shall I forget those flames which consumed my face forever. Never shall I forget that nocturnal silence which deprived me, for all eternity, of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments which murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to dust. Never shall I forget these things, even if I'm condemned to live as long as God himself. Never. Great job. Now for the duration of the lesson, I would like for you to partner up with another student and read the rest of the first half of the book. Go ahead and use choral reading and kind of feed off of one another. If you don't know a word, look at the other one and just read at a steady pace together. Let's get started.